Well, hello, welcome. A brand new CornNation Overreaction live at 9 o'clock Central. We apologize to all of you who are here an hour early. Our wonderful assistant lives in a state that doesn't recognize daylight savings and daylight standard time, and set it up for what she believed to be 9 o'clock. Anyway, you all, the chat's already been on fire for the last hour. Let's get to it. Hey, this is Overreaction live on YouTube, Facebook, and of course X. One of your hosts, Greg Mahochko, Haas Reuter, and Jake. We have removed the every game just because it's redundant.
He's a fixture now.
He is.
Happy to be here.
It's great to see you all. Let's get it all out in the open right away. Ugh. Saturdays are for pain and sadness.
There is
coming
no,
off.
There is no hope.
Oh,
Go Big Red.
this has been a week for no hope. Nebraska losing yesterday to UCLA, or if I begin to refer just to them as UCLA, just go with it. 27-20. It's Nebraska. It was their first game in Memorial Stadium in about 4 weeks. And, the first half was ugly. The second half was better, but not enough. Opportunities to win the game. Couldn't make it happen. This is one I would really like to have had back. Haas?
Yeah, I think ugly, which is a 4-letter word, a lot like UCLA, doesn't really begin to describe that first half. That was a game that UCLA stepped in there with a solid game plan and just an overall attitude that they were going to take the life out of the stadium, and they succeeded. I think even when we held them to a field goal on that first drive, it kind of felt like a Pyrrhic victory. It kind of felt like the damage was already done, that they went, I think, 14 plays and just marched right down the field, showed no apprehension or intimidation about the crowd, the defense, or, a little bit cooler weather than they're used to there in Southern California. And so I think that was kind of a harbinger of things to come. And from there, it just got a whole lot worse. I mean, when you're ending the first quarter with 2 total offensive yards, I mean, that's about as bad as it gets from an offensive football standpoint.
Jake, where did you take in the game yesterday?
I was at a friend's place, and I hate to say that apathy is set in, but this football team and the performance we've had on the field has led to a little bit of apathy. Now, we're going to a bye week, and I'm sure by Tuesday of USC, I'll be right back bought in to the fact that we can go the rest of the season undefeated and, go to a good bowl game. But as it sits right now, as much as it hurts my heart to say, I kind of don't give a shit. I know it hurts, and I mean, I do give a shit. But
you almost have to just divorce yourself emotionally from the immediate result, just because we've been here before.
It's almost like the product on the field has led me to feel like I just don't care. It's almost like you've just been abused to the point where you don't care anymore. And I love this program. I love this team, but good Lord.
I was like, what's the reverse of Stockholm Syndrome?
Whatever I'm feeling.
That's right. I just didn't know if it had a term.
It's funny where I was angry about the game for about the 10-minute walk back from South Stadium to where my car was parked. And then after that is just could observe it kind of clinically, just kind of almost in a detached kind of way where, Jake, when I was talking to you last night, we bitched about, the result. And then we spent quite a bit of time talking about what a nice game plan Eric Bieniemy put together. And just from a football standpoint,
he hadn't answered everything we did defensively, and he exposed our defensive deficiencies and capitalized on them, and that's just what that was.
Yeah, I mean, he had a plan for how to attack every part of our defense structure, the post-snap assignments, matchups. And then, he attacked the front, manipulated linebackers, and exploited coverage. I mean, he had an answer built in for everything. We adjusted a little bit late in the second quarter to kind of get a handle on things, but by then the damage was done.
Exposed coverage. That's the key. What you just said.
And he took something right out of Andy Reid's playbook where they love, when they were together in Kansas City, they loved to target backup DBs who were coming into the game, and they targeted the hell out of Jeremiah Charles. And I hate to say it, I'm sure he's a great student. I'm sure he works hard, but they exposed him for what he is. He looked like an athlete who's playing football, who hasn't played a lot of football.
I do think that he could be a hell of a damn good corner.
Yeah, I mean, if he got the reps for it, I think that he could, but
no experience.
From the very first drive, they had him just, he was chasing receivers on shallow crossing routes, on their drive, dig shallow concept. He got beat on that bomb in the second half, that they hit. They were in man free, and he was the trailing corner. And so they just exploited him. They looked for where he was going to be. And UCLA did a great job really formationing us out of, base alignments into coverage checks. That I think they had a good handle on what our coverage checks were against bunch formations and close condensed twins formations.
Just the attacking the backup corner. Why don't we do that? Other teams have to have backup corners in from time to time, and we just don't seem to.
We make things way too difficult for ourselves.
Okay. And in doing so, make it too easy on the opposing defense.
I'll say this: Satterfield calls plays; he doesn't run off in offense.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that in the past. It's just
there's no holistic nature to it.
Real quick, just we're gonna be not to say we don't want you all in the chat participating. We're gonna hit them as we go, but we've all had long days, long weekends, long weeks, so we're gonna do our best to get out of here in an hour. But Gargamel says, whatever happened to Bly Hill? Is still kind of working on the injury or coming back, or
yeah, okay. He's hurt. He's out for the season.
Saw him suited up though yesterday.
Did he suit up, Haas?
Yeah, I saw him suited up, but I wonder, some guy, you played ball as well, Jake. You know how it is. Some injured guys like to suit up on game day anyways.
I always did.
Yeah. You just feel part of the team. There's nothing that makes you feel more disconnected from the team than when you're injured long-term. And
I'd always like to think, even if I was beat up, that if I had to go, I could have gone, even if you can't. If you're a leader on your team, you want the guys around you to think that you're willing to do whatever it takes. And if you have to go in, even if you're a scratch, I think it means a lot to the guys around you.
Not to jump too far ahead of it, but in the fourth quarter when Nebraska's trying to make something happen and Dylan runs up the middle and then just gets absolutely mollywalloped, comes out and then tries coming back in, kind of realizes that it's not going to work. I mean, I appreciated the attempt, I think, to come in, but you just looked at that hit that he took. I mean, it looked like he got a kidney shot.
Yeah,
essentially
kind of busted a rib loose out of its.
What do we think about the want to, from him, or would it have just been wiser for him to just stay on the sideline and let Heinrich? Because
I think it would have been wiser because we burned a lot of time.
Yeah, and I think Heinrich did a good job. Late in the game, we might have to see him in LA in a couple of weeks. I don't know.
I'm going to give an incredibly probably unpopular opinion, but Heinrich looked better than Dylan in the limited time he was in there on the TV broadcast. Honestly, he throws the ball with conviction. He's decisive. Dylan, obviously far more talented than Heinrich. Heinrich, you see this? I don't mean any disrespect. I love you, brother.
Higher ceiling, I think.
Higher ceiling for sure. I don't know why Dylan refuses to rip the ball in. He feathers everything in. It floats into the receiver's hands every time. Heinrich threw the ball zip. David, awesome. Yes. Also, thanks for joining us. Yeah, he stepped into it. I know we had that weird, interception at the end of the game with the ball that got kicked up in the air, but man, Harbor put that thing on a line. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like being in the stadium, I felt like there was an overall different air that the offense carried themselves with when Harburg came in there at the end. It just didn't look like the same frantic fire drill that it is with Raiola. And I say that not from a lack of talent or want to for him, but I say it more from a lack of experience. I think much like Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets, he's seeing ghosts right now. And they pointed out when I rewatched the game today, they talked about how UCLA was flipping their defensive fronts right before the snap. They were aligning one way to show, a B gap bubble to the right side. And then as Raul is getting into his cadence, the line would shift again.
And,
Teams did that to our offense in 2017 with Tanner Lee at quarterback.
Yep. And Dylan was checking. He was making checks.
But there was like a check to a check that UCLA was doing where it was one look before the cadence began, a look during the cadence, then they were flipping to something else post snap.
The 100% right, and the commentators, the broadcast crew pointed that out. That just what UCLA was doing was causing some. I don't want to say something. Just was causing plenty of confusion for Nebraska's offense, and then. Nathan Hurley with a question: can going tempo help mitigate the defensive shifts that are confusing Raiola?
Yes and no. I think that if we wanted to go fast, it could, but I feel like we run so many different sub packages where we're shuttling guys in and out constantly. We're bringing in Fedoni and Lindenmeyer, and then we're shuffling Barney and Nair out, bringing in Lloyd. There's you see instances when they're bringing Elijah Judy in now at fullback, much like what they did with Ty Robinson last week. So I don't think we're really built for that in terms of the offensive structure. But I do think that if you were to actually coach an offense rather than a collection of plays, you could account for those defensive shifts. So if you're the center and you're getting ready to snap the ball and you have an A-gap bubble on both sides as the cadence is going, there's nobody lined up head up or on either shoulder of you as the center. And then right before the snap, here comes that defensive tackle. He's shifting again to being a 0 or a 1 technique on you. You're thinking, okay, we're running wide zone to the right. All I got to do is step 45 degrees, follow my track, pick up, that defender. He's covering me. I'm covered. I'm not uncovered. Instead, it looks like there's a lot of confusion in terms of, basic blocking rules. Right now, it doesn't look like we do anything exceptionally well on offense in terms of how the game is coached and taught in preparation of each game. And as the adage goes, prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. 5 or 6 P's. I don't know how many that is. I can't, count that fast when I'm talking. But it's a case of I just don't think these guys are coached well during the week.
How about the fact that we have a running back that picks up a few good runs or one good run, 12-yard run with Ramir, and Ramir runs to the sideline? Why are you subbing him out?
Yep.
We are out coaching ourselves offensively.
I did hear that he got hurt in the game yesterday.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that. I'm not saying you're wrong, Greg. I just didn't see it.
I believe they discussed that in the post game.
Okay, well, maybe he got hurt then, and I didn't see it. But, dude,
I agree.
We don't let our running backs get into any kind of a rhythm. Dowdell rip off a 9-yard run, and there he goes to the sideline. What are we doing?
It'd be nice if Dowdell could keep his feet instead of tripping over the paint on the yard line markers like Dan Alexander, though.
Guys, Dan Alexander, by the way, was an actually hell of a player for us.
He was, just couldn't keep his feet.
But he couldn't keep his feet. Well, why are we listen, I'm not a ball coach, and I'm not going to claim to be one. I think we sub too much. Yep. Why are we subbing incessantly?
It's too much of the NFL sub packages.
Yeah, and by the way, you're doing it with an offense that's a very simple offense. So we're running all these, complicated sub packages with an offense that's, what is our offensive high school?
It's a pro style offense in name only.
In name only. This is a high school that's better suited for high school.
Gargamel here, his comment about needing to pare down the playbook.
Hell yeah, but
I think it's the opposite.
They
need to add more. You're running into a problem where we are so basic that teams don't have to worry about a whole lot when they're defending us.
See, I'm split.
Because like if you look at how UCLA out schemed us, so they use the bunch and tight snug formations, to force coverage checks. And then they also utilized a lot of 3-by-1 formations, and they utilized some nice motion to create space pre-snap. We don't create space pre-snap. We don't have a whole lot of ball fakes contained within the offense, and we don't have a lot of stuff where it's just able to attack the structure, the post-snap assignment, and exploit matchups. We skip the first part of attacking structure and post-snap assignments. We go straight to the matchups. We're like, we got Ja'Cory Barney. We're going to throw deep. We're going to run Y over, 3-4 times a game. That's great. What else do you have in the arsenal when teams take that away from you? When teams sit their safety at 12 yards and they're playing 2-man, those safeties playing, just deep halves on the field, and they're putting a lid on that offense. What's your solution for underneath? And that's where like Satterfield got crucified, against Indiana and again against Ohio State, where you're playing teams that are really heavy on man under coverage, and they're not doing anything to exploit man under. They're not running juke routes over the linebackers or slant concepts. It's still just all to the perimeter. We are so terrified, or not terrified, but like it's paralysis by analysis of we're going to just keep trying to force the ball deep through 2 high safeties, through middle of field open, but it's such a short window that we can't get there.
Two things that I think are back-to-back comments, but they're different tone and tenor. Kaylee Bartle says, we are too basic. We get so basic in the red zone, it's predictable. Now, Highlander Gunn comes in and says they can't execute the plays they have. I think it's just that opposing teams have so much film on these plays, they're easily defended.
It reminds me a lot of Danny Langsdorf in 2017, because he was running the same basic run game to start the year that year. Duo, wide zone, little bit of counter mixed in. And then when it took, I think Jalen Bradley was our leading rusher in the 2017 Purdue game when Tanner Lee threw for like 431 or something. The run game was getting shut down so bad that the next week they switched to more of a pro-style spread where they were running a lot of air raid concepts to, hit underneath receivers matched up on linebackers. That's kind of the shift that probably needs to take place a little bit as we go into these next 3 games.
Real quick, a super chat here from Chang. The defense is inconsistent, so will White be offered any head coaching job next year? By the way, sorry to Jake. Last time I typoed his name is Jack. Yep. I like the only Jack reference we have is from Titanic. Like
they didn't let you out on the door, Jake.
Yep. Appreciate the it's okay. I forgive you.
Send me your Jake in the box.
Yeah, Jake in the box. Yeah.
There's some great comments here. One about, I think Aaron Rostovsky said it, about personnel. Yeah, and you can 100% tell what personnels we will run based on the guys who sub in. If Alex Bullock is lined up wide, or he's even lined up just close to the line of scrimmage, and he's just on the field in general, 1,000%, it's a run to that side.
It's a run to that side every
or a screen.
Time.
I want to go back. I have some starred comments here about the Harburg Raiola. I don't want to say competition, but just comparison. I think the one thing that annoyed me the most, and I only can see what they show on television. So television follows the ball, and if the receivers are 7 to 10 yards, past the line of scrimmage, you can't see anything going on. But the number of times that Dylan threw it away, and we take the throw it away rather than the sack. But the number of times he just sent it into the sideline, I was like, because I don't know what's going on there. And then you see some of the the other angles, like, he had this window here, he could have hit Barney or Lloyd or Nayor. I just feel like there were too many of those opportunities. And, statistically, as we look at Dylan's numbers, 14 of 27 with an interception, a touchdown, 177 yards, and he was sacked 3 times. So, again, I know a lot of those incompletions are choices that he made to throw the ball away. But, Fred said at 9-11, Harburg looked downfield more. Raiola has been coached into check down purgatory and floaty passes. Kaylee says Double H has felt pain and seen defeat. He showed he has no fear out there. And again,
That's something to be said.
I
think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
He was the only quarterback last year to win games for Nebraska. And Brian Bauer says Harburg looked more confident. His running ability may force secondaries to play more zone, which helps our receivers not getting jammed on the line as much. So
I agree. I agree with that. I think something with Harburg, if you look back at what we did against NIU and Louisiana Tech last year, I think that could be a recipe for success moving forward this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to beg, borrow, and steal a sixth win, whatever it takes.
You can't.
Just on that point. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
I was just gonna say you can't go winless in another November.
No, if that's the case, like the clock officially starts on rule.
Something. Make an NFL reference. Jim McMahon, quarterback of the '85 Bears, and those Bears teams, was not a very good quarterback. People don't remember he wasn't very good, but he galvanized the guys around him. You listen to some of the defenders and the offensive linemen from those teams talk about Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon would put his head down and run into a linebacker. He'd get his ass lit up. But the guys played for him because he was tough. And I think Heinrich is a guy that's tough. And he, for whatever reason, galvanizes the guys around him. And I'm not saying Dylan doesn't, but Dylan looks like he lacks confidence right now.
He looks like he's been coached out of his natural abilities. Whether it's, you can tell that I want to address this comment too. You can tell that this offense has no faith in Satterfield as a play caller.
Yeah. And
then I also think that I'm not sold on Glenn Thomas as a quarterback's coach. I'm just not seeing a whole lot, at least with Dylan. Like, I will say there looks like there's a little bit of an improvement with Heinrich, when he gets out there. But right now, I think it's just, you have a, leader that his men have no faith in him, on the offensive side of the ball. And from what Fred said about Raiola as the superstar freshman coach to be safe and plays safe to not look bad versus Harburg being grizzled and fighting his ass off, 0 style points. That's Big Ten football in a nutshell right there. Jake and I were talking last night about Iowa. You know what? We can't make fun of them anymore for how they win games because they win. It's not pretty, but they just get after it. I'm to the point where it's like if we were winning games the way that they have been historically for the past 5 to 6 years, very defense oriented, you'd be like, I don't care. I win 10 games. My team wins 10 games. At some point, you just got to do whatever it takes, and use the pieces that you have. And that's what's frustrating about Satterfield. Last year, he's bitching about, the quarterback injuries. And he's making jokes to announcers, in that early part of the season when we switched to Harburg. And he's saying, well, I don't really know how to coach quarterback run. This is outside of my, wheelhouse. Well, you know what? Coaches as ultra competitive people, they love challenges like that. They love that kind of adversity where they've got to coach their ass off and scheme their ass off. And it's like the Apollo 13 mission where they're using every piece that they have to try to find success. And when you have an offensive coordinator that shies away from that challenge, that shows you in game that he doesn't know how to use different pieces of scheme within the scheme that he runs to maximize success and put players in a position to succeed, that coach is a fraud.
Without throwing Fred's comment back up there, I'll do my best to not do it. I'll put Brian's up there instead. Brian Bauer says, I think Sat lost the team games ago and Dylan may be losing them now. Having an older, different voice in the huddle may be able to motivate the team. And kind of tying that in with, if they're trying to continue to make Dylan Raiola look like a 5-star prospect recruit, that's not going to benefit him long term. I think I'm not going to say I was on the Heinrich Harburg bandwagon when I was the only one. It was just me on the bus. Everybody's like, Dylan's going to be your starter. Dylan's going to be your starter. And I get it. But
Well, Jake, what was it last night that you said that the way that they respond to Harbor or to Raiola versus how they respond to Harburg almost makes you think that Harburg may have outplayed Raiola in fall camp.
Yeah. Being, the experiences that I've had and everything with football, let's be honest. Like, Dylan's getting paid a lot of money. And, I wonder what Heinrich's being paid compared to Dylan. Is there a little bit of you want to play Dylan because of the financial investment?
I think there's that, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to jump in. I don't want to necessarily compare it to Scott Frost, Adrian Martinez, but like, you're kind of putting all your eggs in the basket of the golden, the kid with the golden arm, and but in some of the play calling, and I think this is where Frost come from, like, they're trying to make him not look bad so that they don't look bad by association.
I don't remember the exact year, and I'll make another NFL comparison. The Music City Miracle, where Tennessee beat Buffalo. Doug Flutie, those in the chat that are of a certain age will remember Doug Flutie, or if you're like Haas and Greg and myself, where you're football historians, nobody wanted Doug Flutie. 5'9", he actually had a huge arm. Those remember that Boston College where they beat Miami, threw the ball 75 yards.
Massive.
Here. But 99, Aaron says. 99, Music City Miracle. They started a quarterback, Rob Johnson, who was a USC player. Rob Johnson was 6'5", looked the part, everything you would want in an NFL quarterback, but he didn't have it here. And I'm not saying Dylan does, because I think Dylan's going to be an amazing quarterback. I still think Dylan's the future of this program. But right now, I'm not sure if Heinrich gives you the best chance to win. And he might the rest of the year. I still think that this is a Husker show, but Doug Flutie had a raw deal in the NFL. Nobody wanted a guy that was a hell of a player. And I think he would have had a great NFL career if a team would have hitched their wagon to that guy. And I think, Greg, by the way, I was with you, and Haas will say this. I'm a big Heinrich Harburg fan. Mm-hmm. That guy got drugged, and he was a quarterback that quarterbacked us to 5 wins last year. And he's got a great arm, and he
played his ass off.
And he's a Nebraska kid.
One of the things, and Jake, I don't want to cut you off if you're not done with your thought.
Go ahead.
When considering like Harburg and winning the 5 games last year, Fred's comment about last year we had crappy quarterbacks, ton of injuries at wide receiver and running back, and a pedestrian offensive line, that being a mulligan, and not that we didn't have the same dearth of depth that we have this year, and now we look like shit, this being on coaching. I agree that by and large that is a mulligan, last year because of all that stuff. But I think that there was a little bit more juice left to squeeze out of that offense last year than what we got production out of. I'll be honest, I kind of miss Anthony Grant.
Yep.
I miss Billy Kemp, and I never thought I'd say those words, but like
Anthony Grant especially.
There was a little bit, there's a little bit juice left to squeeze out of that offense that I think a different offensive coordinator probably could have put together something that at the very least, maybe they only average 18.3 points per game like the offense did last year, but they're not turning it over, however many times it was. Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Let me take a quick look here. He said, Beetle B says, we have just done a shift away from the run. I
think we need that threat of quarterback run right now.
Yeah.
Now, my interpretation of Beetle B's comment was just, we seem to just like look at the first half yesterday. Now, granted, we only had, less than 10 plays. I think but I think the first drive we had a quick run and then a couple of incomplete passes at 3 and out. I mean, it was very pass heavy, maybe till midway through the third quarter. Have we just gone away from the run? Because again, we're trying to protect, showcase Dylan.
We don't have a dynamic enough run game to get it going. We're kind of forced into passing. I don't think any amount of really getting the run game going, like really being run heavy, really changes things with the overall design of the run game being so bland.
Is it partly because of the running back by committee? And I know, we haven't seen a whole lot of Gabe Ervin Jr. We didn't see, Ramir's been hurt, but when you're running back by committee, then nobody has the opportunity. We talked about earlier, Dante Dowdell has a 9, 10, 12-yard run, and then he's off the field, and they're making a switch. Like, nobody can get into a groove. Nobody can get into a rhythm, and you can't just, pound away at a defensive line or defensive front seven. If we had a standout, and maybe this is what by default, kind of Hoss, what you're saying is if we had a guy that we could just throw in the backfield, or man, like, what would be the worst thing to happen if you put Emma Johnson and Dante Dowdell both in there in a power eye? I'm not saying that that's the right personnel for it, but just something to have some consistency in the run game to take some of the pressure off of Dylan, off of the receivers. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking things.
No, I if I'm understanding what you're saying, finding that guy at running back, allowing him to get into that rhythm could be what really makes the defense get going. Or defense, excuse me. I've glanced up at my TV to the Colts picking off the Minnesota Vikings. Get the offense to get going. I think a lot of it stems from defenses have such an ability to defend us the way they do because we don't do much in the run game. There's no ball fakes in the backfield. We really don't utilize a whole lot of misdirection. We don't use change of strength motions or put guys in motion to give them a head of steam at the point of attack to block on the edge. Really, it's a very simple run game to defend. You've got to defend against, 3 different types of blocks if you're a defensive lineman. That's it. Your keys are very simple. If you're a 3 technique and, you're lined up on the guard's outside shoulder, but you're reading – he's your physical key, but you're reading the shoulder of the offensive tackle as your visual key. You're just watching where he steps, and 2 out of 3 times on the types of blocks that we utilize, he's going to be stepping towards that defensive tackle on a down block, whether that's on duo or that's on power. And so that defensive tackle, he knows what he needs to do to split that double team, and we're just not good enough right now up front to have such a bland run game. Now, we could get a run game going if we had a little bit better, more dynamic of a run game design where ball fakes and the use of a mobile quarterback can prevent defenses from just having a simple way to defend us.
Let's see here. Sam Matney with a question earlier. Why don't we roll Dylan out of the pocket to get easy completions or complexions? Either way. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah.
No.
It's like he's allergic to it. Satterfield's allergic to it.
Yeah.
Again, play action, roll, something that's been kind of bread and butter plays for offenses for the last 50 years, and we just do not do it. Haas is laughing, but it's true.
No, I love it because it's the truth, man.
We don't do it. How often do we even run play action?
Well, there's a great play that UCLA ran yesterday where they motioned a receiver in, or they motioned the tight end the opposite side, just trade motion.
Yep.
That forced everybody to condense down, to cut down their splits on the receivers. And then Buford backs off a little bit and goes inside leverage on the outside receiver. UCLA rolls out to that side. That motion pre-snap created the space for that receiver to run a little pivot route where he rolled out, they hit him in rhythm.
On that play, I was watching it, and I knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
And it happened just how the pre-snap, it literally played out exactly how you'd think. And we just don't do any of that offensively.
We don't have rhythm plays at all in our offense. Like if you watch Garbers for UCLA, and people are probably thinking is this a pro UCLA Bruin podcast now? But it was a master class of offensive football that they put up.
It was.
Every play, Garbers hits the last step on his drop, and that ball is coming out on the last step.
And my question to the group is: Garbers better than Dylan? I'm going to say no.
In a one-game situation, if I would have been Joe Schmo from Gary, Indiana yesterday, and I just had to pick a quarterback, I would have picked You know, I would have picked Garbers.
Of course, but not a chance is he more talented than Dillon.
No,
not.
He's more well coached. And he's well prepared, and
he's better prepared.
Helped him.
He's better prepared. He's better coached.
TSD or Tiger Shark Diver for the uninitiated says Garbers, or aka the quarterback from UCLA, look legit as hell.
Jake, what'd you call him in the text message to me? White Mike Vick.
Yeah, I said, yeah. By the way, I'm going to be honest. I got drugged by the comments last week pre-game. We were giving our predictions. I said Garbers, pretty dynamic player, and the chat just ripped me up. Guy's a hell of a player. Is he Dylan Raiola? No. Dillon,
solid college quarterback.
He's a solid college quarterback, Garbers is. But Dillon, I still think Dillon is a hell of a generational talent. We just got to get him going.
I agree. I think right now he doesn't have the pieces around him that he needs. You know, I mean, let's be honest. Banks and Nayor, they're just inconsistent as hell.
I mean, Harburg threw an absolute bullet dime to Nayor right in his hands, and he dropped it. Right in his hands, and he dropped it. Golly.
This is just like, Haas Reuter fantasy land for offensive football. But you put Harburg in there, if you got to go to Iowa and that's your chance to go to a bowl, which I really don't want bowl eligibility to come down to 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter against Iowa again.
Nope.
But, Harburg, Dowdell, Emmett Johnson in the same backfield, unleash something that looks like a service academy's been running.
You remember, what was it? Late stages. I think it was late stages of the Pelini era. The diamond formation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With like Amani Cross.
Yeah, Amani Cross was in there, and
Amir,
Terrell Newby, Amir, Braylon Hurd, Aaron Green. I mean, we're just doing some deep cuts right now.
I miss the diamond. I really do.
Don't see it too much anymore.
I miss quarterbacks that step into their fucking throws and throw the thing in there. Harburg looked like he was in there trying to break fingers. I mean, I haven't seen a guy step into passes and rip the ball all year.
Maybe that's why Nayor dropped the pass, because he wasn't ready for something.
Yeah, he wasn't ready for this. And Raiola has that arm. He does. He's got it. Why doesn't he do it? Everything is a floaty lob pass.
Let's see
what?
Here.
The best thing I heard in the stadium yesterday from somebody about Harburg was he looks like a raw Josh Allen.
Not a bad comparison.
You know what? One of my favorite Josh Allen memories, though, is Wyoming playing. Yeah, and Nate Gary going to hand one back to him.
I was at that game.
It was a great game.
This still pops up in my algorithm sometimes. All right, let's see. Sam Matney says either takeaway play calling from Sad or bench Dillon. Sam, now that Minnie's here in the comments, I don't think you're allowed to say things like that about Dillon. Anyway, nice. I think either of these give a spark with the bye week. Will Raymond said this is ridiculous, getting blown out by Indiana, hang with the number 4 Ohio State. I think they're number 2 now. Number 3. Then lose to 2 and 5 UCLA. Over it someday will be good again, just not now, unfortunately. So the reason I don't disagree. We're consistently inconsistent, and it's not fun anymore.
It's not.
Well, let's flip, because Haas, I know you really wanted to talk about the Nebraska defense, which had an equally uninspiring day due to what you said in a text to me, and I'm going to read it to the good people here. That said, Eric Bieniemy, a.k.a. UCLA's offensive coordinator, had the best game plan I've seen in the past 10 years of football. Now, you said that to me yesterday. I need clarification. Are you talking about against Nebraska or just in the last 10 years of football?
Just in general. He had answers for everything that we tried to do. So early on in the game, we were trying to get pressure on the edges, with our defensive ends, outside linebackers. And so naturally, UCLA is running big on big protection. They're stepping, their offensive linemen are in 45-degree kick step, pass sets. So they're kind of fanning out after the snap at 45-degree angles. And so we're trying to get outside pressure, and Garber steps up and he takes off and he runs. And so we tried to counter that by bringing more A-gap pressure right up the middle. We've tried to bring some dogs, dog blitzes, some double A-gap pressures, and they countered it again with switching from a 45-degree pass set to a vertical pass set where instead of fanning out, everybody kind of just stays real square to the line of scrimmage in their drops and pass protection, and they kind of condense down and they're kind of shoulder to shoulder, almost kind of like a wedge, and they closed off the interior rush lanes. And so we tried everything we could, to get pressure. Jamari Butler actually really did a nice job of starting to generate some pressure on Garbers in the third and fourth quarters. But at other areas of the defense, our linebackers were basically completely negated by their quick passing game, especially, they really exploited matchups on getting guys lined up, over receivers lined up against linebackers and just running, choice routes where they can always make the linebacker wrong. And then when we really started to try to bring, an extra safety into the box to really try to contain their run game, that's when they hit a bomb on us. When we were in man-free coverage, Charles gets burned, Singleton's trailing in coverage, and they get that touchdown to go up 27-7. So, and then I know Aaron Rostovsky mentioned earlier in the chat about the toss sweep play out of the bunch formation. Our coverage check against bunch formations is we like to condense down and we like to take away inside leverage, because when we see bunch, we automatically think they're going to run mesh or something over the middle. So you'll see on the one, it's on a 2nd and 17 early in the third quarter. It's the one when Jalen Berger looks like he gets tackled and then he pops out of it for, I believe, a 16-yard gain on 2nd and 17.
Yep.
Marquise Buford's lined up on the number one receiver, the outside most receiver, but he's got inside leverage trying to take away him going inside. He gets pinned easily by their receiver, their Z receiver, off the line of scrimmage. And then their tight end, the point man of the bunch, blocks down on the defensive end. The inside man of the bunch off the line of scrimmage wraps up the linebacker, and then they pull the tackle and guard around. Just student body right, basically, is the old USC toss sweep. That was a great job of formationing us into a good look in the run game. A lot of times you talk about formationing in the passing game, but that was taking away, using our tendencies when we think pass and then exploiting us in the run. Jake?
GIF just, as much as it hurts me to say it, I mean, that play you were talking about, a 16-yard run, Bullock fought through a block and stood up the ball carrier. Don't remember who was receiver.
Should have basically been a tackle for no gain.
And GIF was getting blocked, or Bullock was getting blocked. Made a nice play, stood up the guy, and stood up the ball carrier. Gifford runs in, has a chance to put the play away, does some weird thing, bounces off, and then the ball carrier keeps running. And I just don't understand. Gifford, someone mentioned he's the lowest graded defender on PFF week after week. And he's supposed to be like a team captain, like a leader of the defense. And this is just, I don't get it. I don't understand, because I know he's a good player.
I think that his performance yesterday against UCLA might be one of the worst performances for a Husker safety ever. I mean, Deshaun Singleton struggled mightily against Illinois in coverage when we were very much in a zone coverage heavy scheme. But Gifford, I mean, he's got to finish plays. Like you pointed out last week, Jake, he doesn't, he gets there. He tracks the play well. He just does not finish.
He doesn't finish.
I also saw yesterday a return of the let's just throw a shoulder into them tackling instead of wrapping up. I mean,
tackling was piss poor.
That was problematic, and that was from the top down. I mean, there wasn't, with the exception of maybe Ty Robinson, because you can't really do that type of tackling in the backfield, but any of the secondary, any of the linebackers, they were just trying to throw a shoulder into him, and at some point they threw a shoulder and the guy got more yardage. It didn't work out. I don't know. I was surprised to see that on the stat sheet that Ty had 2 sacks. But I'll tell you who
sacks I've ever seen.
Hmm?
Quietest 2 sacks I've ever seen.
Yeah, but his trench mate there, I mean, Nash has disappeared.
Yep. Milk carton.
And that's exactly the phrase I use. He yesterday he's on a milk carton. And I don't know if they were going for speed. I saw Cam Lenhart was in there a little bit more. Jamari's having himself a little resurgence here. And I like to see it. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing overly impressive about anything that happened defensively yesterday. Well, couldn't get a turnover, couldn't do anything that really made an impact, or was it explosive play?
I think one of the things, speaking of tackling, that really kind of broke our back yesterday is Willis McGahee IV gets a great pressure on Garbers, and it's just an arm tackle attempt on the sack. And I know Garbers is stepping up into the pocket a little bit, but it's just a case of like not finishing plays. I mean, you got a chance to wrap somebody up, like you get them to the ground. It was kind of a half-heart attempt. I don't know if he slipped on the turf a little bit or what, but he was in the backfield, and then Garbers bounces out of that and runs for a first down.
Yeah, he missed another tackle at a different point in the game on a halfback sweep. So I don't know.
I did get notified in the chats that Nash seemed to get hurt early in the game. So
I saw him come out, and I agree with Fred that I think Nash losing weight has hurt him.
Let's see here. Yeah, Fred says, I think Nash losing the weight has hurt him. 330 last year. He could plug the lanes up this year. Any speed he gained is lost because he can't hold the line. So
I'd agree with that.
And to Minnie's point, I mean, when you look at Ty by comparison, like Ty is a brick house. Like that man has Sunday size,
That's a guy that 10, 12 years from now, you're going to be watching football on a Sunday, maybe at Paisans or something like that. And you're going to be like, holy shit, he's still in the league.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in town, we're going to have to go to this Paisans and maybe do a show from there.
We should do a show at Paisans. I was there most of the afternoon. So
good place, good pie.
Yes.
Pit Snipe Husker says definitely Sunday size. So
Greg, what's your Sunday size when it's Donut Sunday after Mass?
Today I doubled down. I had two donuts today. All the boys each had one. They were frosted long johns with autumn or fall sprinkles. So
man, I've never met a donut I didn't like.
Yeah. Nope. Even Kaylee's like Sunday size. I like that.
Cake donuts. Well, cake donuts suck.
Oh, I love cake donuts.
I had 2 cake donuts today. 1 chocolate, 1 vanilla.
You guys are out of your minds.
And I'm going to say this. The vanilla one was better. Come at me. What you got?
As a kid, you always like chocolate. As an adult, you realize vanilla is the superior flavor.
Let's go talking about Husker football. That's sad. Let's talk about funnel cakes. And how much we all hate funnel cakes.
There should be a law. Like you know how you get carded to buy beer, you have to be 21. You should have to like prove that you're 14 or under to buy a funnel cake, because no grown-ass adult should ever eat a funnel cake.
I'm gonna stop you gentlemen right there.
Oh,
all right.
Greg, no.
I don't go to fairs or carnivals or anything like that too often, once every few years. But when I do, I'm going to start with some ribbon fries, and then I'm going to walk around, check out everything, hit the game alley. I'm going to circle back around. I'm going to have me a funnel cake. God. I will share it with my child or, children. I don't think I've taken the twins to a place for a funnel cake. I will share it with them, but I'm going to enjoy that son of a bitch, guys. Like, have you ever had a cinnamon sugar funnel cake?
No, because I don't eat funnel cakes.
I don't eat funnel cakes.
I think the last time I had a funnel cake was about 2004.
Well, you're missing out.
I also hate powdered sugar.
Oh, jeez. I put powdered sugar in my French toast, dude.
Oh, I love French toast.
French toast.
Someone said kolaches in the chat. Kolaches.
That would be
Absolutely.
one and only James Boardman.
James Boardman, Kolaches. Hell yeah, brother. Love him.
So, Mr. Raj 48 says, without those penalties, UCLA might have scored 40. I'll tell you, without those penalties, Nebraska might have only scored 7.
Say, we weren't going to
6,
score at all if it wasn't for those penalties.
No,
we 6 because we missed a PAT. So
leaving that game yesterday, I didn't feel like it was a 27-20 game. I felt like we got our asses ran out of that stadium.
Yeah.
It was not fun. It was not fun to watch. Again, I made the foolish comment latter half of the fourth quarter. I said, just watch, we're going to come back. We were down by 2 scores. I think that's when it was 27-14. I said, watch, we're going to come back and win this thing. And we could have.
And then we have a kicker miss a point after attempt after we score.
Wow. Y'all see this? Damn.
Are you pre-diabetic, Greg?
No.
Oh, damn. You're not just catching strays. Like, I'm pretty sure
I'm catching direct shots.
Hey, I got some heat from Aaron too, Greg. You're not the only one. He said, who hates powdered sugar? Yeah. I'm becoming enemy of the podcast. Okay.
Oh, hold on. It was the day after Halloween. I had to stop and I got some Dayquil, NyQuil because I do feel. Justin Raji asked earlier if I'm feeling better. I feel a lot better. But fun story is about an hour ago, I took some NyQuil. Just I'm not trying to need it to sleep, but just try to keep the coughs away. And I think that they've been pretty successful. But I got me that 40% off Halloween candy. We got some Reese's Pumpkins, Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Reese's White Ghosts. 40% off. And I'm just going to say, it's still unopened. So anybody who thought I was pre-diabetic, haven't even opened the bag yet.
Do you check your blood sugar and check it often?
No.
You ain't got no reason not to.
You know what? I'm down from the beginning of April. I'm down 35 pounds. So
good job, Greg.
I'm just gonna keep on doing what I'm doing, which is
all that NyQuil, isn't it?
This, you notice I'm not drinking beer though. I'm drinking water tonight.
I had a beer.
I'm proud of you, man. Aaron Keene says, "Good grief, Greg is in training for Todd's 2025 Badonk calendar." Well, I mean, we're going into a bye. We went 0-3 between the byes, guys.
Yeah,
that's a winless October.
On the we won one game in October.
That's a almost winless October. I forget that October is a long month.
Well, you know what? On the bright side, tomorrow's morning's a great morning to announce that Marcus Satterfield's fired. Probably happen, but if you're going to do it now. Let Glenn Thomas call plays for the remainder of the season.
Let's see where
Rule took over play calling responsibilities in the second half.
Yeah, that was the talk from a lot of people. And when I rewatched the game, he had a play sheet.
Yes, he did.
Ever has a play sheet. And
I think that that's pretty showing of what he's going to do with Satterfield. Again, another personal against the guy. Seems like a nice guy, but someone's got to be held accountable for this.
Yep.
It will fundamentally destroy the Five Heart podcast on Thursday nights, where we have referred to the comment section, you all good people over here on the right, as the Chatterfields.
You got to change it to the Doubting Thomases.
Oh, don't do that. But John, I'm going to say Roten says, what are the chances of Satterfield's fired tomorrow morning? Because, and the only reason I bring that up, I mean, obviously you guys were talking about it, but Pitt Snipe Huskers says several sources with alleged inside information are saying stay tuned for news out of Coach Rule this weekend. Fun rumor. So if you're going to make a change, you have to make a change now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't wait. You can't wait any more into the bye week.
You have to give whoever your new play caller is almost 2 full weeks to install whatever they want to install.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, Minnie says he won't fire Sat. It won't happen. We don't know. We do know that they're not bound at the hip He didn't carry Mark Satterfield with him everywhere he went. Satterfield came to us from South Carolina. So
he was with Rule at the Carolina Panthers and at Baylor and at Temple.
Oh, I thought he came to us straight from South Carolina. I didn't know that they had.
He was with Rule. But to Minnie's point, if Rule doesn't fire Satterfield, then Rule needs to be fired.
Yeah, I agree.
Plain and simple. I like the guy. I like Rule. I like him as a CEO. I like him as a recruiter. I like him as, a motivational speaker. But right now, I'm a little tired of staffs that are high on motivational platitudes and low on in-game mastery.
I got no rebuttal to that. I mean, that's,
I like Rule. I think he is the guy. Like, even if we go 5-7 this year, if we go 0-4 in November again, I still think he deserves year 3. That being said, year 3, he's got to go 8-4 at least, Yeah,
no, we need some improvement, and not winning a game since the very beginning of October is not improvement. When you're trying to get bowl eligibility, when you went 5-7, again, had a winless November, when you are trying to showcase the fact that you have a ton of talent. Somebody just said it here in the comments. Oh crap. Aaron says all the games are winnable based on the talent we have.
Absolutely. 100%.
So
absolutely true.
It's there. I mean, the ability is there. So I love the fact that we are supporting, and I think this is always right. I think you may disagree, or you may say, God dang it, that was a dumb decision. Or like I said earlier, why the hell did he throw the ball away so many times? Again, not being able to see anything besides what the TV screen is showing. I feel like we are all at least unified in support of the athletes who are out there doing the best they can. To Dylan's point a week ago, I don't think we talked to, maybe we did. I don't know. Because he stepped up in support of Marcus Satterfield a week ago and said, hey, it's on us. It's on me for not executing the plan, whatever that we were given. I like the accountability that the players are taking. I like I'm not going to poo-poo on the effort, but at some point, there has to be marked incremental improvement. And
it goes back to what we talked about last week after the Ohio State game. We said, hey, this could be a big step forward for the program if it's maintained to the next week and elevated. You take the next step, the next bit of incremental improvement. We took a lot of steps backward.
Listen, when you have no production on some of these plays, and Rule came out with his presser before UCLA, after Ohio State, and he made a comment about a lot of the guys in the building feel bad because of the heat that Satterfield's taken or whatever, where if they just would make one block, then that screen would have sprung for 50 or whatever it may be. You've run that same tunnel screen or a variation of that tunnel screen 100 times with no production. I don't care how well it's schemed. It doesn't work. It's not working. I don't care if it's the right scheme against that defense or not. You haven't executed it this entire season. Quit running it.
And to go off what you just said, Jake, if you throw that screen in game 1 and it gets blown up because somebody missed their block, that's on the player. If you're calling that play again in game 9 and it's getting blown up, that's on you as the coach.
I mean, I think it was against Ohio State. I think I saw a stat, 9 tunnel screens for negative 27 yards. That was the production.
That is just insanity.
Someone could fact check me, but I think that was the official stat. So on average, you're getting negative 3 yards on that play. What are we doing?
Yep. It's the definition of an insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expect a different result.
You're going to have to spring that play for 50-yard touchdowns twice every game, the next 3 games, in order to equal the damage you've done this entire season, just calling it over and over and over. Yeah, TSD, 83% of the screens are negative yards. Yeah. Yeah, that's the same stat I saw, dude. 83% are negative yards. Why are we running them? We didn't run them yesterday. Did we run a single screen? I don't remember any.
We ran an arrow screen to Fedoni off the inside zone arrow RPO.
Yeah, for -1 yard.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, -1 yard. Got knocked down by the line of scrimmage.
There was one here in regards to that, Richard, and I think there's a hint of snark and sarcasm, which I'm all right with.
Yeah.
I think we need more tight end screens to Fedoni to get 2 yards. So, yeah,
I'm not opposed to running screens, but
I love the play
love
when
the
it's
play.
used correctly.
And when you're actually getting production. Listen, it's all production. Man, I'm getting fired up. I'm going to calm down a little bit before I start saying some really mean stuff.
Well,
the last thing that I want to say now that we're right at the 60-minute mark is if we finish 5-7, Rule needs to gut the entire offensive side of the ball, and that includes Donovan Raiola at this point. I think that by and large, the pass protection's been pretty decent, for the most part, when it's, not in an obvious passing down situation and teams are able to tee off on us. But I think that any good OC that he wants to get is going to demand that he brings his own O-line coach or somebody that's familiar with his scheme. And it's the same thing that Frost should have done after he went 5-7 in 2019. He should have gutted the entire side of the ball on the offense. Instead, he just brought in a guy that was working at a credit union, Matt Lubick. So 5-7, while it won't get Rule fired, serious changes, soul searching, and changes need to be made.
I feel like he is. I'll get some disagreement from the comment section, filthy animals, on this one, but I believe that Rule is smart enough to make some of those overhauls if we don't get to bowl eligibility this year. Regarding screens, Kaylee, I don't disagree with this at all. Kaylee says, I'm opposed to running screens when we need to cover 60 yards in under a couple of minutes, which is why I was really happy to see Heinrich zipping the ball down the field when we needed to, we needed chunk plays. And Colby says, give Satterfield a black shirt. I think the general consensus here is give Satterfield a pink slip. See what it did there?
Yep.
Yeah. He's got to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there's
no scraps in my scrapbook when it comes to firing underperforming coaches.
No.
While we're talking about coaches and who may or may not be here, living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart Podcast, says what coaches will be gone at the end of the year?
Satterfield, Foley, McGuire, Barthel, potentially Donovan Raiola. I think that everybody's got to go on that side.
I'm not a fan of getting rid of Donnie Raiola.
Okay, that's one that could be a case could be made. I lean more towards top flight OC is going to want his own guy.
Which if that's the case, that's fine. But in a vacuum, I like retaining Donnie. I think he's a damn good O-line coach. Foley's got to go. Barthel's got to go. McGuire's got to go.
Yep, McGuire, he might go on to be an absolute prodigy as a football coach. He might go on to be the next, Paul Brown. But right now, these receivers, I think, are functioning and performing worse than receivers even under Ted Gilmore at Nebraska were performing. I mean, you've got Ron Brown on staff, and I know Ron Brown can be a polarizing figure. He's not an X's and O's man, but you know what he is? He's a damn good teacher of football technique. And he coached wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs at a high level in his time as a coach. I think that that's a solution right there. Have Ron Brown work with him, to the remainder of the season to try to eke out some production from those guys. I don't think Ron Brown should be the permanent replacement for McGuire, but I think in season right now that could work. But McGuire's not good. I'm not overly impressed with his recruiting. I just don't think that he's what we need right now. And sometimes I do wonder if age works against him in this case where, you got to have carry yourself a certain way to command respect in a room of, a bunch of, top performers, people who want to be the best, ultra competitive individuals. And I just don't know if he has that yet.
Let's see here. Mike Schuster says if we bench Raiola, he's gone guaranteed. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I don't know, Dylan. Minnie would have the answer to that. She's got the inside scoop.
I mean, it's easy to say like, hey, I'm not going to let one person hold this program hostage, but I don't make those decisions.
Right.
Next.
Let's see. Ooh, interesting. Kaylee says the problem I see at quarterback is that Dylan walks on the field with talent, but Heinrich walks out there with heart. Dylan needs to figure out how to get a warrior mentality that matches his arm.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think he needs to develop some. I think he needs to go through the battles a little bit.
And that might mean, assuming he's healthy in 2 weeks, throwing him back out there. Like he's not like, look, when you're that good, and I don't know how, I guess maybe let me stop before I get ahead of myself. I've been doing pretty good without coughing. I don't know the type of success he had at high school. I don't know if he was state champion, things like that. I imagine he never went up against had a situation like he faced at Indiana. I imagine he was fairly successful. He's got to figure out, clear his mind, and just stop hesitating. Get out there, and I know somebody mentioned this earlier. Hot routes, like we need some damn hot routes on this. We need a quick slant where we can get 3 yards on 3rd and 2. It shouldn't be this damn difficult to move the football down the field. But I digress. Let's see. A couple other ones here. When are we going to return a punt?
Great question.
Not this season.
Not with Ed Foley, right? And why are we not seeing Isaiah Garcia Castaneda at all as a wide receiver?
He's just the hands team.
Okay. It's unfortunate. I remember he had some really nice catches back before he got injured, in the last year of Frost. I think he had the season opening touchdown against Northwestern in Ireland.
Yeah, the infamous Scott Frost onside kick Guinness Factory Tour game.
I thought we were going undefeated. Thought we weren't going to lose the game.
Yeah, that's a dark place to be, my friend.
Aaron says, get ready for players hitting the portal. It's coming, sadly. I don't know.
It's the nature of the beast in today's game.
I actually think we're going to weather the storm pretty well.
I think that, they had a lot of opportunity to jump ship last off season. And for whatever reason, I mean, they're rallying, they were going to stay, guys elected to come back instead of, go pro. I think that this is why I have a lot of faith in Matt Rule. I believe that, I hate using the word culture, but something is happening inside that building that is positive. And as soon as that carries over onto the field, then and 9 games in, I thought we'd have seen more of it. But as soon as that carries over onto the field, we're going to have that same excitement that we had before and after the Colorado game of this year. We'll have, weathered the storm, and we'll all be happy again. We just have to have patience. And I know it's asking a lot of us as Nebraska fans to have patience when we've been, 10 years of futility, I mean, even, 10 years of futility, national relevance, that's 20 plus years, I mean, yeah, I also remember the 9 and 10 win seasons every season under Bo Pelini, but I also remember the absolute crushing losses that came with that, and how we had hit a plateau and we were never going to. Would it be great to have 9 and 10 win seasons again? Absolutely. But eventually we'll get tired of winning 9 and 10 win, 9 and 10 game we will get tired of winning 9 and 10 games every season, and we'll want more. Bo Pelini was never going to get us to that next level. It is unfortunate that it's taken as long as it has for us to, to have that kind of success, which we haven't experienced, with, the lone exception being Mike Riley's second year, I believe, where we won 8 or 9. Anyway, so, tangent, whatever you want to say. We had peaked.
Yep.
We will find a higher peak. Like, we will be back. It is tough to ask you all for patience. I have any control over it. Like, I'm going to wave my magic wand and boom, we're going to win the next 3. And, then we're going to go have a nice bowl game. And then boom, we're going to be undefeated next year. Like, I don't have that ability to make that happen. I apologize. I wish I did.
If we win the next 3, we circle the wagons and we pull them out. I don't care if they're 1-point victories. That's an awesome job from a coaching standpoint at this point, to rally the troops and where we are as a fan base and as a program with how we're feeling about everything. That'd be a heck of an accomplishment to finish 8-4.
These last 3 games in closing will tell me a lot about Rule as a head coach, and just a lot about this program in general, the players that are on this team. So I'm with you, Jake. Find a way to circle up the wagons, find a way to, just find that 6th win. Hopefully it's more than 6, because 8-4 looks a hell of a lot better than 6-6. But, let's see Heinrich Harburg out there. Let's see guys out there that, we're able to utilize, because we're not worried about the red shirt rule anymore. If somebody can help the offense be successful, let's do it.
Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart Podcast, says we don't have patience for the show to start. We were here at 8 o'clock. Yeah, we've already been over that. All right, we know. And speaking of, when you got David Matney and then Sam Matney says, by the way, he said this at 8:14 when he thought the show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. So he thought we were late, or maybe we had abandoned all hope. He says the reaction show I've been waiting for. I think it was because it was a blank screen. Nothing was happening. He's like, this might be the reaction show we deserve. I don't know. But we do appreciate everybody. Haas, I know you've had a long day, long weekend, as have I. Jake, it's not, how to say this. It's nice to get out of here under an hour and 15. And if I stop talking, we might be able to accomplish that. So, all of you in the comments, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here early. Give all your grief, all your grievances, send them to Minnie. You can do that on Thursday night, 9 o'clock Central, where the time changes like it's supposed to, by God. But for Jake, for Haas, I'm Greg Mahochko. This is CornNation's Overreaction. We have had, I won't say we had fun. It's a good time when we get together and talk a little sports ball and hanging out with you all. So Monday Night Therapy tomorrow night. I'm sure there's going to be Husker Happy Hour Thursday, and then Husker Happy Hour Tuesday, 5 Heart on Thursday. Just here, let me put my graphic up there so that I get it all done the right way. And make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications so that you don't ever miss a new posting. So we appreciate you all, and I've already said goodbyes for everybody. So till next week, till next time, go Big Red. Haas,
find a way.
Jake,
survive the season.
Yeah, survive and thrive. A little bit of both.